Hi folks, so this is the first of, I'm hoping, 3 or 4 videos for our Key Stage 3 teachers. If you're not a Key Stage 3 teacher, you don't have to watch these. However, of course, it's a really good idea to have an idea of where those guys are coming from. So if you've got a bit of time, please do so. I want in this video to cover just our general resources for Key Stage 3. I know this is something that teachers worry about a lot, is about having lots of resources to access, and that's going to be important as we look at, in the following video, our scheme of work. So as probably most of these videos are going to begin, I'm going to start with our science links document. This is going to be super important in reducing the admin. I want to have everything in a sort of central location, and by the end of this I expect that this is going to grow and grow and grow, but for now it's fairly simple. We've got over here some planning documents, we'll come back to that later. Here we go with resources. Within our teaching, the main resource that we use in science is Kerboodle. Now, Kerboodle is a website which hosts various resources, and in our case, it hosts something called the Oxford International Science, OIS. Now, what's new for us, we've been using this website for a very long time. What's new for us is the OIS. We used to use the Activate 1 and 2 scheme of work, so if you're new to the school, but you may be familiar with that. Activate has now been discontinued and it's now Oxford International Science, but really that is where the big difference is. It's the name. There's a lot of similarities, just some changes in terms of ordering, perhaps a couple of new things, however nothing too big or scary. If you click on here, you'll be taken into 7, 8 and 9. Now that's the nice thing about Oxford, they've sort of split up the work a little bit more so that it's relevant for Year 7, Year 8 and Year 9. Okay, now generally our initial idea is going to be that we use Student Book 7 for Year 7 and the same for 8 and 9. However, it could well be that we decide we need to change those around. That's absolutely fine. Don't worry about that. We have sort of the allowance, the permission to do what we want. This is our own curriculum. I want to show you what this looks like. So if I click on the book itself and I go for page view, okay, then it comes up with the book. Lovely. The book is very nicely laid out. I think it's really accessible, and parents do really like this resource. They think it's great for revision. As soon as we tell them they've got it, they're always really happy. Okay, and you can see here we've got biology, chemistry, and physics. We've also got a working scientifically topic. Okay, so I think that's going to be the first one. If I go into it, so working scientifically is all about sort of being a scientist and asking scientific questions is the first one. So if you're teaching Year 7, your first lesson is probably going to be this. Asking scientific questions. I think it's worth having a chance, you've got a chance to pause the video and have a look at this just now to just explore the pages. All of the pages are very similar. They've got a think back section. They've got these little subsections which are nicely chunked. They've got some kind of knowledge checks and some summary questions here. Okay, it's a really nicely laid out book. It's very, very simple. Okay, and you'll notice that it's similar throughout. Okay, so these are really the basis of our lessons. The expectation, but not requirement, is that each of these spreads, 2 pages, probably takes about 1 lesson. Could take a little bit more, could take a little bit less. That's really up to your professional judgment. So we've got the book, okay. We've got other things as well up here. We've got resources. I'm just going to quickly go in here. So biology, we'll go back out to the working scientifically. Let's look at that, asking scientific questions. We've got here a video. Okay, which if I click on here, I can play on my screen, okay? And at the end of it, there's usually some kind of interactives that we can do as well. Okay, there is an activity. This will download a worksheet to your computer, and then if you click on the support, that will also download the support as well. So there's lots of stuff here that you can be using to build your lessons, particularly thinking about Toddle and building that up there as well. Assessments are on here as well as our mark books. I'm not going to talk about them just now. I'll talk about them a little bit later on. Okay, so I'm just going to go back. That's some of the stuff that we've got on here. I'm going to come back to our links document. There are a couple of other things. As you may be aware, we used to use Firefly. Okay, now Firefly is a resource that we used to use for hosting lessons, and there's loads and loads of stuff on there. So if you're able to log in, then you can absolutely explore on here the previous stuff that we've used, and this is where it's not going to let me log in, which is going to be hilarious. There you go. You should be able to find lessons which match up to some of the stuff we've got here. So if you go year 7, thank goodness for that. Okay, year 7, notice there's different names here, but if I go into, I don't know, little and large, there are bits here about cells. Cells is one of the year 7 topics. So if you're looking for stuff, there may be useful things on here. You just have to be doing a bit of digging. And finally, I think this is quite an important one that teachers like a lot, are these old PowerPoints that we've used. Now, I'm not saying you have to use these, and actually we may end up moving away from these. However, if you go into Activate 1 and you look at working scientifically, there you go. There's some old lessons which tend to have PowerPoints on them. Okay, and you'll notice these were all bought from tests, and they kind of matched up with the previous scheme of work. Absolutely not saying that you have to use these, however, these are things that can give you a little bit of inspiration as well. Okay, I think that's long enough for me talking just now. Please feel free to ask any questions. I'm going to record another video just now, which is talking about our scheme of work.